Hello, good evening and welcome, as the late great David Frost used to say. I thought that this week I'd go into a few more details on some of my projects and just show you around the things that I've been doing this week. So I'm going to turn you around now and show you the amazing wood-fired door. Monday this week was lost because the tumble dryer blew up at home and I had to strip it down, fit a new bell, fit new bearings and rebuild the damn thing. So that was Monday gone. Tuesday I went into firewood mode, collected all my scrap wood together, cut it and stacked it in this doorway. Now it may seem like madness to stack firewood in the doorway, but there's two reasons for this. That door I virtually never use, because just to the other side I've got another door, so I don't really need it. And then I've got the entrance door there, so unnecessary, but there was a window there before, it got taken out and made into a door. I put a roller shutter on it because I got one, and there it is. Now the sun comes up over the hill just outside that door, and when it does, these doors heat up. They get very, very warm, and they actually, in summer, they heat the workshop. There's no need for any heating whatsoever in the summer. It stays very warm in here, and that will dry the dampness out of that wood. It's slightly damp, some of that wood. So that was the first thing I did. The second thing I did was grabbed hold of this miscellaneous assortment of motorcycle parts, cleaned them all up, photographed them, and they're going on eBay this weekend. And then, just walking backwards a bit, I cleared out the area where all the projects were and I started them. So the first one I'm going to show you is the Toro Wheelhorse garden tractor with the very busy 2CV engine under the bonnet. Now it just fits in there. I wanted to put it in place with the cylinders across the tractor, but unfortunately it wouldn't go in. It was going to cause all sorts of problems, and it would have meant having a 90-degree gearbox to fit the drive. So I ended up doing it that way. Believe it or not, I actually didn't have this workshop when I put that engine in. I did it outside on the yard whilst my brother was using this workshop. So it was done as best I could. But it's actually a very good fit in it, and no problems with the engine at all. The problems were with the transmission unit. Right, I used the original Toro clutch, which was on the engine, and to be honest, it was hopeless, and I scrapped it. It lasted a season, but I scrapped it, and I'm building this new system. Now, what I've got here is there's a plate which I had laser cut and then turned up in the lathe and drilled these holes. That plate fits in where the clutch plate would normally fit. There's a shaft here which I turned up between centres, which fits onto the flywheel, into the flywheel there, and that will bolt up to the flywheel. And then there's that pulley, which is the pulley that drives the system that drives the tractor forward. That's the transmission. And then there's this double pulley, which will fit on there, which is the pulley which drives this belt, which drives to the grass cutter below. The grass cutter fits underneath there, but you can also use this as a separate tractor. You don't need to run it with the grass cutter on. So these are this is a work in progress. There's going to be an outboard bearing on here to support this end of the shaft, but obviously it'll be further into the tractor than it is at the moment. And then there's the electric starter over there, which is actually I think it's a Briggs & Stratton starter, but it bolts up here and it starts the engine very well. It works up fine. The last season we used it. So that about covers that. I'll just take you around the other side and give you a look at the engine on the other side. You probably recognise it more as a 2CV engine from this side. There you go. And as you can see, The bonnet just does fit down. We might end up cutting a hole in the top and putting a shaker scoop air filter on it, which would be quite silly, but never mind, I like that. So there you go. Then over here we have the soccer MIG welder. Now I've been working on this last couple of days, and I've made a bracket for the fan, which is a replacement fan motor. The only fault I can find on this welder is that the fan motor was burnt out, so I've made a bracket for the replacement fan, completely different motor, put the original fan on it, and I'm in the process of fitting that. That's going to need a strut from the back here to press against there, just to give it a bit of lateral strength, but it's there and it's fitted and it's going in. So if we just have a look at the welder, I'll just get this light out so you can probably see better. That's the main contactor. This is the main three-phase transformer. That's the choke down there, and on top here is the rectifier bank, because of course it's DC. So I'm going to have to go through all that lot and test it, but I've basically done some tests and everything seems to be absolutely fine. There's no earth faults on it, so I'm assuming that it's all okay. I did spot a fault here. This nut on here was loose, and you can see behind the nut it's a bit blackened and it's obviously been arcing there, but I shall clean all that up and put the nut and washer back on and tighten it up properly. And that's about it for that. I'll just give you a look at the front of this. It's a very strange beast indeed. And there it is. It's an old one, but it's a good one. It's very similar internally to the Max Arc 200, which I'm using as my main MIG welder now. And the Max Arc is so good, you can really tell the difference between a Clark single phase MIG and a proper professional three-phase MIG. There's just such a difference in the way they weld. So there you go. That's the grass deck for the wheelhouse. That, believe it or not, was bought a couple of years before I got the wheelhouse. It was brand new and it cost £800. So there you go. What else have I done this week? Oh, this motor. Now this motor is the original motor off the Cognac lathe. It's single phase, and it's I don't know if you can see it now. I'll just get a light. Is that better? Yes, it's a single phase repulsion induction motor, and if you see this shaft going down the side with the gear on it, as you rotate that, let's just see if I can rig the light here, as you rotate that shaft, it rotates the brush gear, which changes the speed of the motor. It's not rotating it, I've run off the end. Never mind, that's how it works anyway. At the moment I've just been mega testing it with this little mega here, and at the moment it's giving a very low reading of about 200 ohms. So I'm not happy with the insulation, but I know the motor is good because when I got it, I've run it, but it's been standing in a damp shed, so it probably wants a good clean out and a warm up to get the moisture out of it. Right, and here's a future project. A friend of mine brought me this the other day and said he's collecting together lots of bits and pieces, and he wants to build a tricycle like this, but big enough to be ridden by him. So he's got the wheels, he's got the forks and the frame, right, but he hasn't got a rear axle yet. He's collecting the bits together. When he's got them all, he's going to bring them up here and we're going to have a go at building one. So that should be interesting. Right, moving on, last week I told you that I'd got this Black & Decker valve refacer, and I just thought I'd show you this. It's all finished and rebuilt. I've rebuilt both motors on it, put new cables on it, put new pipes on it, on the coolant and everything, and it's a lovely machine. I bought it cheaply. I always say I bought it cheaply, does it matter? Right? And the guy I bought it off was more or less going to scrap it. And I took it off his hands, but I don't know why I bought it, because really I've no use for it. But it's a lovely machine and it works beautifully. And I thought I'd save it. And since I did that, I've thought of the fact that this is a variable angle. You can change the angles on it. It's got all the angles that you can grind to written on there. This moves, which means it's virtually a variable grinding head. It could be used for all sorts of things, but it's all done now, and I'm just leaving it for the future to see what I come up with, to see what I can use it for. Right chaps, well I think that's it for today, for this weekend. It's Friday, it's pouring with rain outside and it's beginning to get dark. So I'm going to call that it, and I'll catch you all later. Bye now. Hi everybody. As you can see, I'm back at home now and I've washed my face. And also I'd just like to say to everybody that's left comments and everybody that's subscribed, thanks very much. I'm really overwhelmed by the support I'm receiving, and if you like what you see, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll try and get as much good content up as I can. Thank you all once again. Bye now.